Hello, good evening. This is Bookie Bookie, and today we'll be having our podcast episode about Robinson Crusoe. If you haven't checked the short video yet, you can check it out here. So something will probably pop up. This contains this short video contains a little plot synopsis for if you haven't read it yet, and it contains our opinions. And in this podcast, we'll go into depth about the book, and we'll be spoiling everything that there is to spoil, even things that didn't happen. So you are warned. With that said, welcome. I'm Dylan. Today we have with us, of course, we have Dino.
Hello.
And our special guest today, Kachha.
Kachha, hello.
All right.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, it's nice to have you. And I'll just start off with the first question, which was, Robinson Crusoe. He was on this island for quite some time.
Yes, I think 35 years, something like that.
26, I believe.
26?
Yeah.
It felt like 35 years.
Okay.
Felt like 35 lifetimes. No. Now, my first question to you is, do you think you would have managed in his place? Would you have been able with the items at hand? Do you think you would have stayed alive and would have stayed sane?
That's a good one, actually.
No. No.
It's a difficult question because you're already not sane. But
Well,
No.
it surprised me how easily he could manage making tools and so on with all the stuff he had.
Yeah.
He had like an iron tree and he could make a shovel out of it, and he made a grindstone, and
Yeah.
okay, it took him like years, but still, and like, I don't know how to do that. I wouldn't manage.
Yeah, well, I guess, I would guess that people were more pragmatic in those times.
Yeah.
Just
Think
had
so.
a little more insight into handicrafts.
I mean, we have a store and we can get
yeah,
everything
we have a
want.
computer and we press a
Click
button
and it's there, and we
someone
have
does
no
it for
idea
us.
how it's made or something like
Or
that.
we can Google it. And
Yeah.
if we
Yeah.
don't know how to make it, just
Yeah.
Google how to make it.
Yeah, I think
That's
I would come quite far with the hut and so on, like a safe shelter and food perhaps, but
Yeah.
not all those difficult things he did, and
Yeah.
not all those extra. Yeah,
Yeah, and so in that regard, I've been daydreaming a lot throughout the last year or maybe years. And I think I'm going to actually go over it this summer, but to just go out with some stuff and just have no phone and no whatever, and just
Wow.
chill and read some books and be bored and play some music and try to make a fire and
so no
feel
electronics.
miserably. Yeah, so no electronics, and actually preferably also not really people. Just a really
Like an
a way
experiment.
an experiment, but also a way to come closer to oneself.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, I mean, then you still have the option to opt out, and you're not stuck for 26 years.
That's true.
I mean, unless I mess up somehow. That's, but I assume we shan't.
Yeah, I think for a few weeks I would manage, but no people around, absolutely no one except goats and cats. And turtles, by the way, I would become quite insane at some point,
Yeah,
or
and-
just forget
And
to speak.
people who eat other people, who are also called cannibals. Did you know that? They're called
Savages.
cannibals. Yeah, but when they eat each other, they're also called cannibals. Did you know that?
No,
I like how the book reminds you.
Yeah.
every
Right.
single time.
Did you know they're called cannibals?
Yeah.
I think it would be
Interesting.
easier for us because there are no cannibals around.
Yeah, I think
That's true.
most things become easier when there's no cannibals around.
But even so, he did not.
I'm sorry. I'm not supposed to say that anymore. This is 21st century. That's racism. Yeah.
How is you still have cannibals?
Are there still cannibals?
Yeah, there are still cannibals.
Yeah, but not in our proximity, I would hope. Or is there something that you, or is there a
Is
reason that
there
you
a
haven't been
secret you
taking
haven't
any
told
biscuits?
us yet?
But for instance, you have the so there's this story, Silence of the Lambs. We all know and well,
We all know and love.
yeah, but so there are. Well, I hope not in this building, but
There are some cannibals.
There are some cannibals,
Yeah.
but not. Actually, the cannibals in the story were also. They were not as bad as the Morlocks, as actual villains, but they were slightly less derpy.
Well, yeah, right. Because I was wondering, did you mean were they not as evil or were they not as derpy? But
They were not as derpy, and they were probably not as. I'm not sure about evilness.
And, of course, you have to consider, were they cannibals out of necessity or
out of habit.
out of habit? It's also a difference.
Yeah.
If you have no food,
No,
you start eating other people.
I think that was out of habit.
Maybe it started as necessity and now it's just a cultural thing or something.
Yeah, I would guess that.
They don't see it as evil anymore because it's just a habit. It's their food.
Yeah. I mean, you can't do it all the time, but
No.
But they waged war to get their prisoners.
Yeah.
So there is a. They are more evil and less derpy than the Morlocks.
I think it's not very difficult to be less derpy than the Morlocks, but well, all right. I'll just. We're already going quite through our time, so let's move on to the second question, which is quite related. Would you still call this a survival story? What with the abundance of tools and good fortunes that Robinson
Has.
because of course the ship strands and he spends 2 weeks getting stuff from the ship
Yeah.
and it's all very nice and well.
And he realizes that if he didn't have that stuff,
Yeah.
he would be quite worse off. So
Yeah,
I don't think it's a survival story, it's rather an adventure story. Like unknown lands, what will happen?
Yes,
And
but
surviving,
on the other hand, I'm not sure if adventure is truly the right word here either.
I think for that time it was quite adventurous.
I would suppose so.
I mean,
yes.
we're used to sci-fi and so on,
Yeah.
but they were not.
It's not as much as a it's not a survival story if you compare it with something like the Hunger Games.
Yeah.
But it is, in a way, it's a survival story because he has those tools, but he still has to be on that island for 26 years.
That's true.
Yeah,
So
that's true.
In that regard, because of the length of his stay,
Yeah.
you can call it a.
And maybe you can call it a survival of religion, because he does have doubts during his struggles. At one point, he doesn't believe anymore.
Yeah, but
Or it's a colonizing story. It's a.
Oh yes.
Because in that time there were still colonies.
Colonies,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's a very small scale.
Very settling is I think the right word.
Yeah,
not so
settling
much as
yeah.
colony, but as a settlement.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think what you said in a short video is poignant. That it sort of resembles the Minecrafty feel of alright, you're dropped and just make things.
Yeah.
And it's not really an adventure; it's more settling. Yes.
Yeah.
And well, of course.
I was reminded of that because of the cave.
Yeah.
They dug, and then they had a cave, and then they created a forest around.
Yeah.
And then another forest and a wall. And
and it looked like no one has actually built it.
Yeah.
Yes, and but then he had to leave the cave because there was an earthquake, and he really had to leave because it wasn't safe anymore.
So he dug more caves.
Yeah, like 15 years later, and he's still there. I mean, I'm a famous procrastinator, but
He didn't have all the time in the world. I mean, he was stranded, so.
Yeah, but
or that thing with the cannibals. When he first saw them, the footprint was
it's like,
oh no!
no.
Maybe they find my goats, so I have to make another 3 goat pens and scatter them across the island.
Yeah, it was one footprint.
Well, I mean, to his credit, they didn't have horror films in the time yet, so they didn't know that scattering out was the worst possible option. Yeah, but aside from, I fondly remember reading how he contemplates, how he reflects, like, well, I mean, I'm on this gosh darn island, but at least I've got like tools and stuff and things.
What if I didn't have
What
these?
if I didn't have these?
Yeah.
How terrible would it be? And
You would be dead.
And I just kept thinking, yeah, that's Lord of the Flies. I know quite a lot about what happens then. But aside from having those fortunes,
although Lord of the Flies would be a lot less interesting if there was only one person.
Yeah, true. Yeah, I mean, Lord of the Flies,
It's
the core engagement, if you can.
It's the
call
human
it that.
psychology in Lord of the Flies
Yeah,
that makes
and-
the story. And
And
this,
the power struggle.
Yeah.
But aside from that, a friend of ours, Mark, leuk spel Mark, he made a remark that he had read it, Robinson Crusoe, some years ago when he was young, and he told me that as soon as the grain just happened to start growing, because he tossed it out, he was out of it. It was like, this is too fortunate. This is
well,
just
it's funny because first he starts wondering, hey, is this God doing this? And then he realizes, oh wait, that sack I just shook loose. Wait, I did this.
Yeah.
Never mind, it wasn't God.
Yeah.
So,
But
still,
anyway,
it's
still
lucky.
God. Yeah.
It's still lucky because
It's,
he
it's
couldn't
still
have grown.
providence.
Yeah.
Providence.
Yes.
Profitable Providence.
Yes. Which is what we all seek. Alright, so I am of a certain opinion, and I wonder what your opinion is. Would this book have been better without the island? Or with less islandy bits? It's... I've also... this was the most important point in my review, but I really liked the part before the island, where you had this... Yeah, you had the story of a man who just wasn't capable of settling for what he had, and just always strive for more adventure and just straddled the line, and it ended up wrong. And I think actually that was very well written. I liked it in the sense that he also had these conversations with his father and told him things like, well, he's a very emotionally driven person. He's like the antithesis of a rational person, and he speaks to his father and he's like, all right, I understand your points,
But still.
but still, if I'm going to work as a trader, and I'm going to want to have adventure, then I am going to have adventure. It's not even my choice. It's if I want to go on an adventure, then it's going to happen. So why prolong the inevitable?
I think it would have been interesting to see. He's in Brazil, and he goes on a quest for slave trading. What would happen if he didn't strand on that island and he just continued with the slave trading in Brazil? What would have happened?
Yeah, well, of course. I mean, the book wouldn't really have become as popular as it did back then.
No, but it's especially the island part is the most known part of Robinson Crusoe.
Yeah. Yeah, and I do see how it really appealed to imaginations back then.
Yeah.
But
Well, what I had with the story was when I told people about me reading it, they were all like, that's the story of the island and Friday, and I was like, oh yeah, Friday. I haven't met him yet, so
yeah, but that's interesting, right?
that's
Friday.
interesting
Friday.
because there will be 2 people on the island, and
Well, wrong.
no, and I mentioned in the short video that I read 100 pages a day,
And
there was no Friday.
there was
Still no Friday.
Still no Friday.
Only at the end of the island
Yeah,
adventure, Friday pops up.
only at the end of the story, then there's Friday. And for some reason, Friday also disappears.
At some point.
Yeah. He's sort of like, well, Friday was with us, and now he's not, and now it's the end of the story. And
Yeah.
And even the Spaniard and Friday's father at some point, but very briefly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have more of these characters which sort of enter
Pop up
and leave.
And
They don't
they
really,
play a part in the
they don't
story.
really get that much attention. It's
It's like the captain of a ship. He briefly pops up. He's useful, and then
but
bye.
I think the captain still spoke to my imagination because he does go into.
Do you mean the Portuguese captain?
His friend captain. So that's it. That's Portuguese, I think.
Oh,
The one who made the prediction, like You're not really a sea person, but no.
I've been reading other books in the meanwhile, haven't I?
Well,
I see.
because there is this captain figure who you have the Portuguese captain who he meets when he's on the coast of Africa, and you have this captain whose wife looks after his
Stuff.
stuff.
Yeah.
So there's
Let's
two captains.
Well, at least with one of the captains, he goes into his gratitude towards that.
Oh,
captain.
that's the Portuguese captain.
Yeah, so the Portuguese. Yeah,
Yeah.
His friend captain.
Yeah.
And I think
There's also a friend who takes him to the Guinea coast.
Yeah,
But indeed,
that's the first captain, but
that's
that
the
one
first
dies.
He dies, and his
Oh
widow.
yeah, right.
And before that,
yes.
there's another captain,
Yeah.
and another captain makes a prediction: you will meet nothing but disasters and disappointments if you did not go back to his father's house.
Yeah, so there's a lot of captains.
A lot of captains.
Yes.
And you have the Portuguese captain. Yes.
Yeah, and you have the captain who he meets when he the captain of the mutinous crew.
Yeah.
Yeah.
On the, when
But
he,
they don't have names, so it's quite
yeah.
annoying to recognize which captain is who.
Yeah, and I mean the Sally Sea Rovers also had a captain,
Yeah.
of course.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
there's
I
a lot
guess.
of captains, and,
A lot of captains.
and of course Philby.
And of course Philby. Yeah,
He was also-
Philby was also there. Yeah. Right, I was going to say something.
Sorry.
Well, whatever. What was the question again? The question was, would the island have been... Oh yeah, would the book have been better with less island? And
Yeah, I think so.
yeah, I like the character study part.
I think it would be better, but it would be less popular. It would not be that well known.
Yeah, and
Well, I mean...
Because the whole island part is the thing that made the
Yeah,
story.
but would you say that people back then weren't ready for this more character study sort of story?
Ooh.
well,
Well,
I
I
don't
mean,
know.
perhaps the general populace back then.
but
wouldn't be.
I think you forget that the island part is also character building.
yes,
That's
I mean, yes, I absolutely recognize
Because
the importance of the
learns
island
gratitude and
from being isolated.
survival and mastering all kinds of traits.
Yeah, I absolutely recognize the importance of the island in his character development.
Yeah.
But I personally would have preferred it having less details and less like, all right, so then I did this and then that, so
Yes.
so that I could do
That's
this
true.
and blah 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 blah.
It could have been shorter.
Yeah, you could have sketched the idea of what he
Yeah.
did and then just go on. with
Yeah,
it.
well, maybe he could have also maybe the story because probably it's not a real. The story would I think not have happened in real life.
No, I think I heard many years ago that that this was a work of fiction and that Daniel Defoe wrote it as a travelogue because fiction was looked down upon in that time.
Yeah, but I think he could have what he could have done, but maybe that was too difficult. Or there's a lot of stories at the time of English sailors who are captured by pirates and have to work as.
Could you speak up a little
Oh
bit?
yeah, of course.
Yeah.
There's a lot of stories about English sailors who get captured by pirates from North Africa and who have to work as servants in North Africa.
Mm-hmm.
But these stories always mostly end with them freeing themselves and returning to England. That's also the case in this story, but he could have there could have been more adventures. So he could have been shipwrecked.
Well, he was shipwrecked.
He was shipwrecked.
Quite a number of times, of course, but
but there could have been more shipwrecks.
yeah, right.
So
Yeah, which is a bit more. Yeah, I mean,
a story of continuous shipwrecking.
Ah.
Well, at least in some ways, a more variation because his time in Brazil was quite different from what came before and after. And,
He actually
and
did quite well in Brazil, so.
And I think I would have. I think it would have been possible to write a similar story with similar, well, not morals, but similar character developments. But in the story, he would just travel from place to place and visit these different settings.
Yeah,
And not just
nice.
like, all right, we have this setting, and then we have this setting,
Yeah.
and we have this setting, and then we have the island, and then we have a lot of island, and then we have the island, but maybe there's cannibals, and then we have the island, and there's cannibals. Then we have a weird snow bit, and then we have the island again.
Yeah. So I think he could have shipwrecked his way through the 7 seas. That's
Yes.
what you're saying.
But I think at some point it becomes quite unconvincing. How do you get off an island if you shipwreck it every time?
You know what they should have done is that is he should have traveled the 7 seas with Friday, but then under the sea, and then see all these fish.
Under
yeah.
the sea. Under the sea.
All right, so before we get into 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, which is of course our favorite book.
I like that story more than this. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, that's we have a different opinion on that, don't we? You liked Robinson Crusoe more than.
No.
No, you liked
like-
20,000
I like
Leagues.
20,000 Leagues.
Oh yeah,
more.
I liked Robinson Crusoe more. Yeah, I just remember us having conflicting opinions, but it's not on the question list. But I am very curious.
As to why.
Yes, as to why you think,
Tell me.
why you enjoyed 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea more than Robinson Crusoe.
I think it has had to do with expectations and
Yeah, because you were. I nominated Robinson Crusoe because it was one of the books you were enthusiastic about,
yeah.
and you've quite cooled down.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
turned out a bit different.
So I stepped in my own trap.
Yeah, right. So I can see how that, in its own right, would.
Yeah, and I liked there was more humor in
Yeah, true.
20,000 Leagues Below.
Yeah.
So there was no humor in this story.
No.
No, that's true.
I mean, we can find humor ourselves, but
Yeah.
it was not humorously written, so to speak.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, though I'm not quite sure that humor would have suited the story well.
No.
But-
So,
Yeah, well, personally, I thought this is going to sound very silly, but I was a little offended at times by 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, just by things like, do you really expect me to just keep reading about fish, and things like, how is this ending even? Why would you even do this? And
but the same thing happened with this story.
Yeah. Why wolves?
Yeah, the
Yeah,
endings,
the
the endings are similarly
The wolves are very weird. But,
disappointing.
Yeah.
yeah, true, but I mean, I was with 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. I just kept having this feeling like Jules Verne trying to get away with things, and I'm like, I just felt insulted a lot of the time. But I will admit that more happened in 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, and that's saying quite a lot. Or well, I mean, 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. The second part was quite eventful, but the first part was very. I found this box with letters. But well, all right. It's. I guess I know your opinion on that then. We'll have to move a little quicker through the questions. So I'm just going to direct this one directly at you. Katja,
Yes.
you asked us the question, is the island rightfully his?
Yes.
Why do you think...
He mentioned several times how he believes, well, I'm here, I've got all the tools, I've built everything, I've got my goats, I've got my grain, I am the king of the island.
Yeah, this is my island.
This is
now.
my island, and everyone who comes here is my servant.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is this the right attitude? Is this the right... Is it his right to
Yeah,
make
if-
everyone who comes there his servant, so to speak?
If I may be so arrogant to extract your stance on this book from the questions
Yes.
that you've... Yeah, to just combine the questions more
Yeah.
or less so that we can talk about your stance. You think this book is extraordinarily... what's the word?
With the word? What's the word?
Imperialistic.
Imperialistic. That's a good word.
Ah.
I think that's one of the.
Yes.
I think that's one of the things that you that most impacted you in reading. Just how deeply the character of Robinson Crusoe is like. I'm the white man. I'm in charge.
Yeah. I built this, so this is my island.
And everyone who's not European is a savage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's also the question: is he racist or not?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So I'm sort of melding
Combining
some
the two.
questions.
Yes. So
together.
is the island rightfully his? Do you think so?
Yes, is the island rightfully his?
Does he have the right to
is
make
he
everyone a
racist?
servant? Yeah. And is he racist?
Well, I was pleasantly surprised. I mean, I sort of came into it with the expectation that, well, this is just how people thought back then.
Mm-hmm.
I was actually pleasantly surprised by this episode where he first comes across the cannibals and he's just filled with sort of vengeance and disgust. Like,
Yeah.
I have to remove this scum from the earth.
Yeah.
And then he almost immediately has this moment like, wait, hold on. Who am I even to decide about that? Like, for one, this is probably just a habit they have and they don't even know that they're doing wrong. I mean, wrong is also something that's culture dependent, but I mean, he acknowledges that wrong is something that's culture dependent.
Yeah.
So, these people, you can't really call them evil.
No.
And well, second, I mean, it's not for me to decide; it's for God to decide.
Yeah. If God, I can see here, if God suffered them to go unpunished, then is it really wrong what they do?
Yeah. And so, especially that first point, that really took me by surprise that he had this reflection, like, well, I mean, cultural differences.
And there was this reflection on when Friday was finally there, and he had this reflection that Friday was of equal.
That he was no lesser man.
Yeah, that he was that he was no lesser man.
Yeah,
only...
but it took a while because first he called him a creature. Like, I saved this creature, I have to take care of him. I mean, what? It's not a creature, he's a fellow human, but.
Yeah.
But he changes his mind.
He changes his views and his.
He's quite a rational man at some point. I mean, he's capable of changing his opinion.
That was my question. This is a progressive or a conservative story, and in a way, it's quite progressive towards.
Yeah, for its time.
For its time,
it's quite progressive.
I mean, if someone would write this now, they would be socially hung, but.
Yeah. But it's at the same time it's in a way.
Is it socially hanged or socially hung? Like, but then Tumblr.
That's a good. I think if you're being hanged, it's like hung is just you hang.
Yeah, right. Right, socially hanged. You heard it here first. Right.
But at the same time, it's
hashtag socially hanged.
it's a quite reactionary story in the way that he attributes so much to providence and God.
Yes, but he does realize at some point, or he thinks about. I just underlined some things.
Yeah, you did your homework.
I know, right? So sometimes he's confused whether God directs the universe directly, like just everything, or that he does it by little hunches or hints now and then. So does he control everything, God, or is he just little?
Yeah, is he inside?
Everywhere?
Is he inside the brain, or is he just giving directions and suggestions?
Yeah. So that's quite nice. He really, his faith in God wavers a lot.
Yeah, it's I'm doing this list terrible justice, but this is also something that I would like to talk about, and I think it's an important enough item to discuss. But well, this book, of course.
Sorry, that's my phone.
All right.
I will put it on there.
Oh no, that's fine.
Oh, okay. If you don't mind the R2D2, that's fine.
Copyright strike.
Haha.
Hashtag
R2D2, yeah.
Hashtag copyright hanged. Well, in one viewpoint, this is the story of a man who is wicked at first, and he just does whatever he wants. And then when he gets to the island and faces isolation, he comes closer to the true path of God. And it's a very Christian plea.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that I think I mentioned earlier to you, I have this friend, and she grew up in a small village, and her parents are very Christian, and she is very not Christian. And I bet her parents would love the story of Robinson Crusoe, of this child who doesn't heed the advice of his parents, but then he does find his way to God on his own.
I find it funny that his wickedness is not listening to his parents. That's his wickedness.
Sorry?
His wickedness
yes.
not listening to his parents.
Yes, but I mean...
is it really wicked? I mean, it's normal for teenagers and adolescents.
That's true too, yeah.
So...
But was it back then?
Probably not.
Yeah.
But still.
Yeah. I'd like to get into
actually-
that too, but I was still asking...
Oh, sorry.
Sorry, I
Go on.
I was asking world's largest question, and
Oh.
it started up splicing. Could you still...
The answer
Like-
is 42.
Thank you. Could you still, like I, appreciate the story as like, alright, God, providence, Christ, whatever, but it's still a story of a man who learns gratitude and to just learn to live with things the way they are. I could still appreciate it as that.
So if you leave the whole God thing out?
Yeah, if you just rewrote Spaghetti Monster, I'd still...
It's still about learning gratitude for what he has.
Yeah, but he learns gratitude
Through God? He does?
Does he though?
Yeah, because...
He does obtain a Bible at some point.
He does obtain a Bible, and he reads a lot in the Bible.
He's like, oh yes, oh yeah.
And he gets those little hints. Like,
Little hints.
It can't be coincidence that I
Yeah.
put my eyes on this passage.
Yeah.
But, I mean, it's also just... I wouldn't say that it's through God that he realizes, like, alright, I'm on this island, but at least I've got this stupid amount of stuff.
Life. But that's more like
way worse.
That's more like common sense. So the message I got from the book, but maybe I was reading it wrong, was he learned gratitude through God.
Through God, and that's the message that the author is trying to convey. Yeah. All right.
And there's also this aspect of him being a missionary in a way.
Yeah.
Because he brings the faith to the island, but
to Friday as well.
to Friday.
Friday converts at some point.
Yeah. And Friday even wants to bring him and to Friday's people to
also
to get them
but Robert
to
is
get
like,
them rid to get them rid of their cannibal habits and start
their heathen ways.
Yeah, the heathen ways. Yeah. So there's a strong missionary.
Yes, and I think that too sort of ties into the question of how imperialistic this book is, because it does sort of assume that, well, like, on one hand you could argue, alright, this book just assumes that people who haven't met Christianity yet will automatically convert because it's the best thing ever.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But on the other hand, that is, if you look at it in a statistical, historical way, what happened last, right? I mean... Oh, that's tricky, actually. I was going to say, you hear all these stories about missionaries and they get a following.
But not everywhere.
And then blah, 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 and you still have a lot of...
In Africa, you have a few Christian communities in Africa, but not everyone.
Yeah, but the tricky thing here is that I was going to argue, you hear all these stories, but then on the other hand, I mean, those stories were written in very imperialistic times.
Yes.
So there's a strong selection bias.
That's very very historian of you.
Yes.
Um,
Yes, I'm trying to take over as historian.
yeah. So
I'm just trying to take some note off you.
yeah. So a lot of
No, I'm just kidding. Solve our history problems.
faith spreading happened in areas that were at least marginally controlled through military means.
Ah.
All right. Yes.
So
So you can't walk into like a tribe and say, "You're a Christian now."
no,
Yes.
no, that wouldn't work. First, you had to maybe you had so it started all with these settlements, and those were trade settlements most of the time, factories, and that were like fortresses at key points, and from there there was military control over the area in a way that traders could they had a safe harbor there, and they could deliver the goods, trade, those kind of things. And then missionaries also spread to from these settlements, from these factories. There would always be a missionary man or a man of God, because that was just how it was back then. And some of the tribes would probably were influenced throughout or by these missionaries. These missionaries would go into the countryside and try to convert.
Would you say that that those natives that did not convert were ignored or maybe perhaps made to disappear in some way? Do you think that maybe the people who did convert were spared and or taken up into the community?
Well, yeah, what a lot of time happened was that local communities there would be intermingling between soldiers, missionaries, or traders, and local women. They would get children. These children would have mixed parentage.
And also mixed cultures, right?
Mixed culture.
Yeah, you do hear a lot about these strange little tiny religions that are half Christianity and half like voodoo or something.
There would also be intermingling of culture.
Yeah.
So most of the times the missionaries would understand, if we just incorporate some of their elements into our religion, it's easier for us to spread our words.
Yeah.
You also have, that would be the pragmatic missionaries. You also have the hardliners, and they would be more like, if they don't follow us, then and most of the times there would be there could also be a conflict between already established elites and in Muslim countries there was of course a Muslim faith, and for instance in Japan the Christians were kicked out of the country.
All right.
Because their faith was, they were trying to spread the faith, and the problem for a lot of rulers was, if Christians or Catholics, they have to swear allegiance to the Pope. So and that means
they don't want that.
So that means
ain't got no time for that.
Yeah, that's a loss of power. So you can no longer trust them, because ultimately they will be only answerable to the Pope or to God. And that's a problem for things like a Tokugawa shogunate.
All right, it seems we have time for about 2 more questions. So that means we'll have to skip over 2, unfortunately. We can very shortly say yes or no. Have the predictions come true?
Yes. So his prediction
was
will disaster.
Yeah,
you will meet nothing but disasters and disappointments if you do not go back to your father's house.
Well, he met a lot of disasters and disappointments. Yes. And also a lot of strange fortune. But this is turning into a long question because I am curious. Like, all right, just in very short, do you think it's for the better that Robinson has had this adventure. Like, did he come out a better person, or would it have been better for him if he just stayed in Brazil?
I think he became a better person because he learned gratitude.
Yeah.
He learned to appreciate what he had.
Yeah,
he didn't before.
Yeah, but it's a little apples and pears because it's just a completely different life. He spent most of his life on the island.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what do you think? Do you think he?
No, I don't think he. I don't think the prediction came true.
Okay.
In the end, he had a lot of misfortune, but he gains a lot of gold. He becomes a very
wealthy
rich man.
Yeah,
at the end of the
true.
story.
That's true. Rich
so
and famous.
they became partly true, but apparently he's the luckiest guy in the world because even after all those years, he's still wealthy. His money's not gone.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess his perseverance did eventually pay off.
Yeah.
Because he did invest in the farm in Brazil and so on.
That's one thing to say about him. He's a likable guy.
Yeah, aside from his racisty, imperialisty side,
but he does.
He
does not give up. He continues. I mean,
Yeah,
all right,
he's-
I'm on this island. I'm
he's
gonna
not a-
make this and this, and it takes him 2 years, but
Yeah.
whatever.
No,
you
but
know?
he's also he shows gratitude towards people who helped him.
yeah, that's true.
Yeah, he's very kind and understanding, I'd say, and I mean I liked him from the start because the story was very personality driven.
Yeah.
And he becomes, of course, a little less erratic later on.
And he
But
is all in all a rational man, and I like that as well.
Yeah. But it's what I think is also.
I think the word is decent. He's a very decent.
He's
guy.
a very decent man, and he has a lot of good traits, especially as the book progresses.
Yeah.
But he doesn't become Superman or something.
No.
He's still a fool. He still spends a year making a canoe and then.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then it's
and
too
he's
heavy.
he's frightened of the cannibals.
Yes.
Yeah, he's yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So as for one question that's burning for all of us, also a combined question, namely, what did you think of the ending? Or more particularly, what the fuck even with the wolves?
And the bear, by the way.
And the bear.
And the bear. Yeah.
That's when he becomes Superman with the bear. Oh,
No.
I'll tease him for a bit.
No, that's Friday.
It's Friday?
Yeah.
What?
Friday is like, all right, you guys, I've got this fun idea.
Yes.
You're going to think it's super funny. It's going to be really
Friday's
cool.
Superman.
Yeah.
So it's like I mean, there wasn't a lot of character progression for Friday, but at the end of the book, they decided, all right, let's just do everything we can to make Friday like the most hated character.
Yeah.
It's like, oh yeah, I'm gonna do something funny, and then
I'm gonna tease a bear and then shoot him through his brains.
yeah.
I think the
And
explanation
then
for
people
that
like,
weird...
oh, yeah, oh.
I think the explanation for the weird ending may be like he needed to have an adventure in Europe as well, and in Europe you have wolves and bears, so yay. Last adventure before going home.
Yeah, but why?
I don't know.
Why even Last Adventure?
Yeah. For me, it was like let the story just end at him.
Yeah, going home.
Yeah,
Yeah.
going
Because
home.
I mean, the core of the story is the island,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and so when there's no more island, then there's no more story. I'd say. But-
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's
And
even,
of course you can
it's
have a
even
little
more
wrap-up.
strange because at the wrap up at the end there is no wrap up. There's like, well, there happened a lot of other things which I will mention in another book, and
there's another
Yeah,
book,
what I
I
mean,
think.
yeah.
yeah, but I mean that's the Hollywood producer just
yeah,
telling him to
Yeah.
to make it so that there could be a sequel, and there was a sequel actually, but
okay.
it wasn't half as popular, of course. Now, an interesting thing that I read on the internet, one person analyzed it as the passage through the white snowy fields with the wolves. He analyzed it as, all right, what I think is that Robinson actually died there,
Oh.
went on to the afterlife, and then
Where he married and has children and goes on to another adventure?
Sorry?
He-
Where he where he meets his friends from his life for the last time, and then goes back to the island, and then sort of fades out of consciousness. It's at least I'm giving my own spin on it now, I think, but At least that's what one person said, that he considered it as or thought that it might be a metaphor for
Oh, okay. Well,
passing into the afterlife.
no, that was not what I would have
No.
guessed.
No, I mean, personally, I wouldn't quite appreciate going to the afterlife and knocking at Heaven's Gate, and then the Heaven Gate guy, that's of course Peter.
Peter,
And then
yes.
Peter being like, all right, oh, hold on. I'm going to do something funny with this bear first.
Yeah.
All right, welcome to heaven. I'm Peter.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay, now I'm imagining Peter Griffin as
Yeah.
Gatekeeper.
Bird is the word. Yeah.
Yeah, but then it's a chicken, not a bear. All right.
So I don't agree with the analysis.
No,
it's
no.
an interesting one, but not
Yeah.
convincing in my opinion.
I mean, when I read it, I just mainly thought, well, story writing just wasn't very advanced at the time yet. And
No.
they didn't know of these pitfalls.
It was like there were I think 300 wolves.
Yeah,
And then just we were hunted by 300 wolves.
yeah, I mean, I'm not a wolf biologist, but which would be a lupologist
Yeah.
Hallelujah.
or a lycologist. Wait,
Whoa.
wait, is ologist? Yeah, whoa, you studied ancient languages once.
Well,
just
yeah,
for
but a
languages.
long time ago.
Ologist, is that Greek or Latin?
Ooh.
Thank you so very much for watching. No,
Greek, I think.
so then it would be lycologist.
Yeah, psyche
So,
is Greek, so psychologist.
If you happen to know the answer, lycologist, comment and subscribe. And I think, with your permission, I have... there's one more question, but I'm going to leave it as an audience question, as we've become used to by now. Our audience question to you is, would the story have differed if Robinson was female? Would it have been a different story with different sort of twists and maybe perhaps different sort of developments? Would it even be possible with a female lead in that time?
No, not with not in
Not
that time.
not in that time.
No.
So in modern times, perhaps.
Yeah,
In modern
but
times.
perhaps in modern times. I'd suggest you get creative, and of course there'll also be an audience question just about, all right, would you like to experience something, or would you be capable of experiencing something like that yourself? Well, the comment section would know better than I at this moment what the comments are asking. This is getting very vague. I'm going to round it up. Hey, I don't think it's a secret per se that none of us really enjoyed this book very much. Mm-hmm. Well, it's probably our least favorite.
Although
of
we
the books
liked the main character.
Yeah, we liked the main character, and I personally
likeable,
liked the character study part of it.
But the book itself,
Yeah,
not a
it's-
fun
yeah.
read.
No, but it's what I want to say is, despite it not being our favorite book of all time, I did really enjoy this talk, and I think we really got a lot out of it.
Yes, indeed. Thank
Maybe,
you very much.
maybe
for having me again.
maybe literary critics will disagree, but at least I had a good time,
Yes.
and I hope you had a good time,
Yes, we
and I hope you as a viewer had a good time, of course, as well. So, this was the podcast for Robinson Crusoe by Bookie Bookie. Next month, or in 2 months, or at least next time, we'll be discussing the Wind-Up Bird Chronicle by Haruki Murakami. And from what I've read so far, I quite like it. More than Robinson Crusoe. It's you do have to sit down a bit longer. Have you gotten into reading it?
Yeah.
Would you recommend it at this point?
At this point, yes, I would certainly.
Yeah. All right. So, make sure to read that if you want to join in the discussion next time, or maybe if you're just here for the good old Dutch gezelligheid, then we'll see you next time as well. At least, thank you so very much for watching, and we'll see you next time.
Listening.
Listening.
Yeah, they're not watching us. They're listening to us.
No, they're behind the window. They're next to Philby.
Hashtag Bookie
Okay.
Bookie.
Hashtag.
Hanged by social media. Oh, wait.
Yeah, I was trying to make a clever play on it. Well, no clever plays for me. Maybe next time. All right. Bye.
Bye.
Bye bye.